Chairwoman. As you know, each of you, non-point source water pollution is a big problem across the country. It comes from multiple sources, and unlike point source pollution, that can be traced back to industrial and sewage treatment plants. Under EPA's 319 program, states receive grants to help develop and administer their own programs to address non-point source pollution. As each of you may know, I have worked with my Republican colleague, Representative Brian Mast of Florida, and we've introduced a bill that would reauthorize this program for the first time since it was established. So I'd like to start with perhaps Mr. Kryken and perhaps Professor Heaps and ask you, how important is it for Congress to continue to reauthorize and appropriate funds for this program, and tell me how it can address these non-point sources of pollution.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Yes, I mean, it is incredibly important. Thank you to you and to your Republican colleagues and others who are supporting this bill. The 319H grant program is a very important funding program. We've been talking about the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, and that really is helpful. But 319H is a program that offers assistance for things that aren't eligible for the State Revolving Fund program. So we've been using 319H funding in Camden County for a lot of that green infrastructure, some of it that didn't have a combined sewer nexus, like building like bioswales along riverfronts, brownfield cleanups, et cetera, things that didn't necessarily weren't related to our sewer system itself. So it's a great supplement and assistance for even in an urban area, but especially in rural areas. So I really support it and hope that it goes forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to echo what Mr. Kryken said. In the Chesapeake Bay watershed, there's been a phenomenal cooperation between federal, state, local governments to try to clean up the Chesapeake Bay, but stormwater is the one area of pollution that continues to grow, and 319 grants are critical to address those. In rural Vermont, agricultural pollution is a problem, and 319 grants are used to help farmers put in important conservation practices to reduce their runoff pollution as well.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Flowers, I just want to start this next question to you, but I want to first say that thank you for your work with EJI. I had the opportunity to visit your state and your city here this past weekend with Congressman John Lewis and walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge with him in Selma. So it was stunning, frankly. I come from a suburban, half rural district in Minnesota, where we haven't been investing in certain things, and to see the inequities and disparities in your community, every American should see that, and I think it would make such an incredible difference. So, Ms. Flowers, in your testimony, you noted that the U.S. Census once captured information regarding whether homeowners were served by municipal treatment or septic systems, but the question was taken off after the 1990 census. Can you speak a little more to what kind of data that collection would be useful to properly assess the wastewater infrastructure needs in the country?
Well, I think, thank you for asking that question, and thank you for coming to the area this weekend. That information, we can't solve the problem without understanding and quantifying what the problem is. And I actually, one of the observations that I've made since I've been working in rural communities is that after the census stopped going from door to door, I think a lot of rural communities were left out. You cannot do a qualitative analysis of people in rural communities by just looking at addresses. Because, for an example, in Lowndes County, there may be one address and 5 homes there, but that's not going to be counted. And whenever funds are distributed or help or they design projects, they look at that kind of data, and I think that data, there are gaps that are missing in rural communities. We have what we call a rural lexicon. And with that rural lexicon, it means that a lot of the policies are written in such a way that excludes rural communities. For an example, if it says it's a municipality of so many people, that automatically excludes a whole lot of rural communities. So we think that in terms of the census, the data that could be collected by finding out how many people are on rural wastewater systems or septic systems will help us work on the solution a lot better. Because I think right now when people look at it, because we're in the news, they think if they solve the problem in Lowndes County, Alabama, it's solved in America. That's not true.
Thank you so much, and I yield the balance of my time, Madam Chair.